Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Broken Crayon Still Color Podcast. I am your host, Tara, and I am in the middle of a crisis. My crisis is that I am realizing that I have two daughters, and the very thought of them growing up and some guy breaking their heart literally breaks my heart. Like, they're going to grow up and they're going to get in a relationship and or situationship or whatever. And they're gonna be so in love, and some guy is gonna break their heart, and they are going to go through these emotions that I'm not gonna be able to fix. And the very thought of that is excruciating. And I'm thinking about it like, okay, as a mom, how do I prepare them for that? How do I prepare them for heartbreak? Couple things. One, I don't want them to experience heartbreak. I don't ever want them to be in that space or in that realm where someone breaks their heart. But the fact of the matter is, it's a possibility that it may happen. And then it made me think, like, what are we really teaching our daughters? What are we really teaching the younger generation? What are we really teaching our friends and our coworkers and those that are connected to us? I'm coming to realize that as an African American woman, we already have so many like exes against us, right? Like we have that we're loud if we're being expressive. We have that we're angry if we're expressing an emotion. And it puts us in this box where, okay, we're going to talk low and we're going to talk soft. And even if we're angry or if we want to express ourselves about certain things, we need to make sure to always keep our tone, you know, under a certain volume and don't be so expressive because if you're so expressive, then other people might feel like you're angry, even if you're not angry, even if you're just passionate. Like as a black woman, we already have so many stipulations against us, so not only am I supposed to teach my daughters and the younger generation and the people that are connected to me how to handle these emotions, but how to express them and how to navigate through them. And that's hard. That's hard to think about. That's hard to process. And so when I was thinking about, my two girls, and though they're very young right now, they're going to become teenagers. And they are going to talk about relationships and boys and things like that. And I was trying to figure out how I was going to navigate this conversation. And I know you may be thinking, like, golly, they're young. Why are you thinking about it now? But I feel like, okay, I need to prep myself because it's not only my daughters that I want to necessarily teach this concept to, but even the younger generation, even those that are around me, if they find themselves in this situation. Um, I'm thinking about, especially with relationships, like, oh gosh, like how do they navigate? How do they, process what a relationship is? How do I teach them to be expressive and express their emotions and be honest with their feelings, but at the same time, not be too clingy, not seem too desperate, but at the same time, not being too manly and not being too independent, but at the same time, being independent. And see, it's so many things that go into it. And on top of that, how do I get them to understand that, these female rappers and these female entertainers, their lyrics, though they are saying these things, they may not be living this life. So you shouldn't follow behind that as a role model. Like they're saying these things for sales. They're saying these things to sell a record. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are like that they believe in having a hot girl summer and that they believe in going through men like socks. They may not actually do that, but that's what get them paid. So how do I get them to understand that that may be a fantasy and not reality? And so it's so many concepts to that went into play when I was thinking about like, oh gosh, for the young girls that look up to me and for my daughters and for just young women in general who I come in contact with, what do I say? What do I say? And the concept came to mind. and it was the power of you, the power of you. And that is what this episode is going to be about, the power of you. What I've realized that in a lot of cases with, of course, relationships, friendships, and all of those things combined and anything in between, that the power of you yourself, you as an individual, plays a factor in how those things play out. And you may say, oh, okay, well, how is that? Well, I'm going to tell you. When you are able to know what you want, what you don't want, what you can handle, what you can't handle, what you're okay with, and what you're not okay with that, and you're comfortable with voicing it, you're already 10 steps ahead of the game. The power of you is merely just a concept. I actually wrote this in my journal about 8 or so months ago. And I'm going to read exactly what I wrote in my journal, word for word, how I wrote it at the time I wrote it. And I say, though the power of you may seem simple at first, it's complex and it has different moving parts. The answer is understanding who you are as an individual. It's a difficult concept to grasp because it forces you to be real with yourself and those around you. The power of you, one, it causes you to have to examine yourself first before connecting yourself with any individual in any capacity. It makes you list your weaknesses, your strengths, your trauma, your likes, your dislikes. It causes you to put that at the forefront before you connect yourself with anybody for any reason, for any amount of time. And this is the concept I plan to teach my daughters and the younger generation and all those that listen, the power of you. Growing up, I was always afraid to express my emotion because I thought my emotion, for the most part, sometimes anyway, just was no one cared, right? Like, okay, you're mad about that. Suck it up, buttercup, you'll get over it. And so I would keep my emotions to myself. When, of course, at the wrong time, something would tip it over and then I would blow up. And it would seem as though I was blowing up about something simple, but in reality, I was just letting it build up. I then realized that that was not healthy. And now I am one to express my emotions. Now I've been told I'm not an emotional person. I disagree, but hey, that's me. That's my opinion. I disagree. I feel like I'm an emotional person. I was told I was an emotional person. Um, but the concept of the power of you is understanding your emotion and understanding when you're overreacting about certain situations or understanding why you feel that way about a certain situation. And so when I was thinking about my daughters and young women in general or anybody really, when I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, so the concept would basically be, okay, you need to understand who you are as an individual and why you're doing the things you do before you connect to someone else. You need to handle your trauma before you attach yourself to someone else. You know, you need to handle what's going on with you, why you do the things you do, why you don't do the things you don't do, why you think the way you think. You need to handle that process, that understand that before you attach yourself with someone else. And possibly, maybe that can help you navigate through a situationship, a relationship, or anything like that. Well, whatever you want to call it, it'll help you navigate through it. And maybe the heartbreak won't be as detrimental if you understand your feelings going in, if that makes sense. And so when I was thinking about the concept, and I was like, okay, I was thinking about my two daughters, and my two daughters have two totally different personalities. And to help you guys understand the dilemma I was facing, I'm going to explain their personalities. I'm going to start off with my oldest. My oldest, she has my face, right? So she shares my face, but she has a heart and character like her father, right? So if anybody knows my husband Brandon, they know Brandon's very soft spoken. He's jovial, very slow to get angry about anything, is one that processes emotions very carefully. You won't know if he's upset about something. He can get over something very quickly. Um, Tender, not soft, but just a tender individual. Riley, my oldest, is just like that. She is the one that's tender, not necessarily soft spoken as much, but it does, she's my softer child. If you talk to her in a certain tone, she's going to straighten up and she's going to look scared. Just very mild manner, though she can have her ways, but just very easy going, going on with life. Nothing's really bothering them. And then there's the baby, who shares her father's face but has her mother's personality. Skylar is the rebel without a cause. Skylar goes against the grain. Skylar is going to speak her mind, however, speaking her mind looks or sounds like. In recent weeks, we realized that sounds like one of the baby Thornberry. So she and she's going to be talking fast and she's going to say no, she doesn't want that, and she's going to tell you what she wants, how she wants it, when she wants it, if she doesn't want it. That is her, very much the boss of the house, like no holds barred with that one. My dilemma was, okay, Skylar, if she does not tone this down, may be too independent and it may scare a man off. Riley, if she does not strengthen up, may be soft hearted, could be clingy, things like that. And I know that that's kind of hard to say, but this is just me looking at their personalities, how they are right now. Of course, things can change, and I understand that. But right now, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh boy, got my work cut out for me with this one. So my dilemma, not really a dilemma, but my the work that's cut out for me, I guess I should say, is okay. Somehow I have to turn Skylar into a soft girl and lessen Riley's soft. Hmm. How do I do this? Okay. I teach them the power of you. I teach Riley that there's nothing wrong with being sensitive, and there's nothing wrong with being soft hearted and tender, and there's nothing wrong with kind of not always expressing your feelings because you're scared of the retaliation. But at the same time, express them. Don't let them get out of hand. On the flip side of that, letting Skylar know, hey, you're too expressive. Tone it down a little bit. Um, you're too aggressive. Bring it in a little bit. And so I'm going to have to teach them how to take their personality, if it remains the same, and navigate through life with it and what will work for them. So if I'm thinking about myself, like I said, Skylar reminds me more of me, and I'm not that aggressive. I am pretty much a combination of both of my girls, right? So I can be very soft or very aggressive, just depending on the situation. And now, over the recent years, I'm trying to embark on this soft girl era, since that's popular right now, and getting more in tune with myself and what works for me, and taking care of more of myself, and just focusing more on me as an individual, separate from the titles, right? And so, with the power of you, it's helping you understand your quirks, what upsets you, what doesn't upset you. What's the deal breaker, right? If you're in a relationship, what's the deal breaker? What you will and won't tolerate. What you can see past, what you won't see past. Um, it's helping you to understand that before going in. And the power of you is a concept, I believe, that can work even outside of a relationship. It doesn't have to be a relationship. The power of you can work in any area where you're around other people. So at work, um, in your religious facilities, when you're around your family. It's understanding what bothers you and getting to the root of why does that bother me, and in hopes to fix it. I would you know I would guess that you would want to fix it. If it bothers you, okay, this bothers me. Okay, is this bothering me because of XYZ, or is this bothering me just because I don't like it? It's understanding and being able to be comfortable with knowing the truth about yourself. I was talking to one of my family members the other day, and she expressed that she was like, you know what, over the past couple of years, I realized my relationships probably weren't working out because I'm a little selfish. She's like, I'm a little selfish. I don't think about other people. Um, and she was like, I didn't realize and something had happened where she had came to grips with the fact that she was selfish. And she was like, yeah, I'm selfish. I don't think about like how things impact other people. I'm just a little selfish. And I was like, well, are you gonna change that? Like, where are we going with this? Like, because she kind of left it there, and she was like, yeah, we'll see. Okay, she made a discovery. She has no plan to change it right now because that's how I received it. You have no plan to change it right now. But she has no plan to change it right now, and that's her prerogative. She realized why her relationships didn't work. She said because I'm selfish. She said we'll see when asked if she's gonna change it. Now, granted, I could have dig deep and was like, okay, so why are you selfish? What made you selfish? When do you think this started? I could have went through all that, but at this point, she doesn't even know if she wants to change the way she is. Now, if she would have expressed, I think I want to change that. I think I want to try to navigate not being selfish. We could have dig deeper into find out why and kind of go back and try to correct whatever it was that made her this way. She's not ready for that, and that's fine. With the power of you, when you realize why you're a certain way, you then determine if you want to change it or not, or if you feel the need to change it. That's up to you. Do know though, if it's something that's detrimental or if it's something that's harmful, it will affect the people around you. It will affect your relationship. It will reflect or it will affect your romantic relationships, your relationships with your family, your relationships with your friends. It will affect any and everybody that's connected to you. But that's still your decision whether you want to change it or not. So I'm thinking, as far as since relationships um, seem to be the concept with the power of you, I've kind of stayed on. With relationships, the power of you also will help you not be dependent on another individual. I've seen on TikTok where they have names for certain things now um, that didn't have a name before. And I think I saw one the other night. It was describing with a what a person who had attachment issues, what they would be like, as far as like texting other people, and if they had attachment issues, they would get upset if someone didn't text them back right away or something like that. Um, the power of you helps you realize if you have those certain things, if you have attachment issues, if you just want to be with someone for the sake of being with someone, not necessarily because you want to be in a relationship, not necessarily because you like the individual, but because you're lonely and you're bored. The power of you helps you realize the reason for why you do certain things. Why you attach yourself to other individuals. Are you attaching yourself to other individuals quickly, without a real cause because you had attachment issues as a child? The power of you helps you understand, okay, the type of people you're dating, the type of people you're entertaining is, or do they reflect someone from your past? The power of you helps you understand why you move the way you move, essentially. Why you move the way you move, why you do the things you do, and why you befriend the people you befriend. The power of you is a concept, though, that many people don't like to embark on or don't like to think about because it literally causes you to put yourself under a microscope. It causes you to look at yourself and say, okay, why do I do that? Why do why am I a negative individual? Why do I attach myself to people that I know I shouldn't attach myself to? Why do I get angry um, when someone tries to correct me? Why do I? It makes you put a magnifying glass literally on those things, and it makes you examine yourself in hopes. It would be my hope that you would try to fix whatever it is, but it makes you examine yourself. And a lot of people, myself included, I'm not exempt from this. A lot of us don't like to examine ourselves because, in the back of our minds, whether we want to admit it or not, a lot of us think there's nothing wrong with us. A lot of us think the reason why certain friendships and certain relationships didn't work, oh, it was the other person. It wasn't me. It's never me. It wasn't me. I didn't do anything. It was them. And we say that, but my theory behind that is, okay, if you've been in 10 relationships, in your lifetime, and everybody else was the problem, but you're the denominator, though. Like, you're the one, but everybody else was the problem. Maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. Maybe you need to take on the concept of the power of you and find out what did I just befriend the wrong person? Did I just get into a relationship with the wrong person? And if I did, is there something in me that caused me to do that? And if there is something in me, let's find out what it is. Let's fix it. Go to therapy if you need to go. Talk it out with someone that you need to talk it out with. But it causes us to look at ourselves in a lot of areas that we necessarily don't like to look at because, like I said, we like to think that we're good, we're perfect. It's the other person. It's not me, it's them. And that could be. I won't say that in every situation that you were to blame, but I will say in every situation, you need to learn how to handle things. There's a quote I have on my board at work that said life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of your reaction to it, or how you react to it. The power of you helps you understand how you react to certain things, your reactions to certain things, and why you react that way. And I'm not saying that I've took this concept of the power of you and I've mastered it, and everything I do now is, upstanding, and I am in my soft girl era, and no, 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 far from it, far from it. I am still learning it, but I do know that this is a concept that works when you start examining yourself. No one else, you. Examining you. You. In the mirror, you see you. When you examine yourself, it helps you to process things a little differently. It helps you to understand before you react on anything. It causes you to say, okay, this is me. I know what this is. This is me. And even when it comes to heartbreak, okay, did I see this coming? Did I see the red flag? The power of you helps you to understand, were you seeing these things and just avoiding it? Or did you really not see it? And if you really didn't see it, the power of you also helps you to understand, okay, why didn't I see this coming? Like, I feel like the signs were there, but I should have saw them. Why didn't I see them? Even with friendships, not necessarily romantic relationships, even with friendships. There can be red flags in friendships too, but the power of you helps you understand, okay, I am an individual. It is your job and your job alone to protect your emotions and your heart at all costs. So if something is bad for you, if something is causing you heartache and pain, the power of you helps you to understand, okay, is this causing me heartache and pain because I just don't like it? Is this causing me heartache and pain because I don't like it and I didn't express that I didn't like it and I'm just sitting here taking it? Or is this causing me heartache and pain because I just really want to be attached to whatever it is I want to be attached to, and I'm willing to go through whatever just to stay attached to it? The power of you helps you understand your connections. It helps you understand your decision making. It helps you to understand and process how you want to be as an individual. The power of you is not just a concept that, you try for a week. And then, okay, that was cool. I do believe the power of you is a concept, a theory, an exercise, even that you probably will need to utilize for the rest of your life. Looking at yourself daily, examining yourself daily, saying, okay, that frustrated me. But why did that frustrate me? Did that frustrate me because I don't like when people do that? Did that frustrate me because I've always had a problem with it and the person keeps doing it? Does that frustrate me because I know the power to change it is in my hand and I just won't utilize it? That's kind of funny. When it comes to heartbreak, now that I'm older, a lot of the heartbreak we could have avoided if we would have acted or reacted or said something early on. And I think that's what causes the heartbreak even more. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, dang, I knew that person was playing in my face, and man. I think that's what most of the heartbreak comes from. Like you knew, deep down, you knew. I won't necessarily say I'm a dreamer, but sometimes I will have a dream about certain situations, and in and sometimes they're subjective. A lot of times they're not. And sometimes I'll have a dream about a situation and I'll ignore it or I'll brush it off or I'll say whatever, that might be a subjective one. And then when it happens, I'm like, dang, you were trying to warn me. And I just kept going along like, and I think that's what most of the heartbreak comes in because you saw the warnings, you saw the signs, and you still just went along with it. And the power of you helps you to understand why didn't you acknowledge the signs? Why did you talk yourself out of that? Everyone has intuition. The power of you helps you tap into your intuition and listen to it. The power of you can be used in your career if you're trying to find out what should I do next? What's my next? The power of you can help you process things while in school. Like, okay, I'm trying to get this degree and I know I'm a terrible procrastinator. Why am I procrastinating? What makes me procrastinate? How do I fix this? The power of you makes you look at yourself. You don't blame anybody else during the concept of the power of you or during the exercise of the power of you. The power of you is you, yourself, and I. Or you, yourself, and you. It helps you to look at yourself. And some things, unfortunately, we're just going to have to be comfortable with saying, Ugh, I'm really a mess. Why am I like that? Why am I like that? The power of you helps you to step into your individuality. It helps you to examine yourself and look at yourself and find out the why, the how, the when, but it also causes you to be comfortable with knowing that you have flaws and with coming to grips as if you're going to change them or not. So, with my daughters, they may change their personality. I don't know. They may switch. Maybe Skylar will be the soft one and Riley will be the straightforward shooter. I don't know. But still, I have to teach them this concept to look at themselves when something goes wrong or when something doesn't go right in their life or when it's a decision that needs to be made. It calls them to look at themselves and to process and to not let anyone rush you in that. Find out why you think the way you think, why you do the things you do. And if you do the things you do and you don't know why, okay, where did that trait come from? Where did that habit come from? And then possibly changing it if you feel the need to. And if you like it, fine. That's you. Am I going to be able to help my girls navigate through heartbreak? Yeah, I will. Is it going to be fun to do? No, because nobody wants to see anybody with a broken heart, especially their children. Do I think this concept can help them navigate through some heartbreak? Maybe. I'm for sure it can. Do I want it to go beyond just heartbreaks though? Of course. I think the power of you would be able to help them in their career choice, in any choice they make in life. I think it'll help them navigate through life. So as you're going throughout your day and as you're going throughout your week and as you're going throughout life, take time to examine yourself to find out why you think the way you think, why you do the things you do. Do you have unrealistic expectations of yourself? Do the way you think, is it a reflection of things that happened in your past? And is it a negative? Is it a negative thing? Is it a negative way you think that has a reflection of something negative that happened in your past? Are you where you want to be in life because, of course, because you want to be, because somebody told you you need to be, or because you think you should be? The power of you literally puts you in control of your emotions, your thought process, your reaction, the way you handle people, the way you handle yourself. The power of you and understanding that concept and thinking about you as an individual and your feelings and expressing your feelings and being comfortable with your emotions and saying, hey, I didn't like when you did, or hey, it really hurt when you did, or I'm not really feeling this connection anymore. I'm not really feeling this. Or, you know what? I actually am feeling this connection, but I'm feeling this connection through a negative way because I'm attaching myself to something to avoid something else. So let me handle this first and then come back if I need to anyway. The power of you makes you in control. It takes the power from other people and it puts the power back on you to find out why you are the way you are. I hope this concept works for you. I hope this concept will shed light on the things you do, the things you want to do, the things you don't do. I hope this concept helps you understand your emotions more. I hope this concept, above all else, make you a better human being, whether it be woman or man. Because I think in order to understand other people more, we have to understand ourselves better. And I think that's something that we don't always like to do. We hate to sit alone with ourselves because sitting alone with ourselves put everything in front of us. It shines a light on our fears, our, you know, our hurt, our trauma, what makes us happy, what makes us sad. Being alone helps us come to reality with ourselves. So, like I said, over the next weeks or so, start diving into the power of you. And I hope you learned something about yourself that you didn't know before. Again, my name is Tara, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Broken Crayon Still Color podcast. I'll see you all next time.